wanted to start off the show today, John, talking to you. You know, it's interesting because we piggyback from David's show, and David this morning was talking about, you know, especially young people kind of starting their retirement plan, starting their wealth building plan, their you know, asset, you know, kind of you know, compiling assets and things, and I really believe that the first step to getting wealth, to you know, to make the best financial decisions is owning a home. And whether you're a potential first-time buyer listening to the show, or you have a kid that's a potential first-time buyer, or you know someone that's thinking about buying a home or should buy a home, you know, the next 10 minutes or so, we're going to really delve into this and kind of why it's important and financially what it means for somebody. And I think the statistics strongly support this. People that own a home have more money, they make more money, they have more assets, they retire earlier. You know, it's all the way across the board. Buying your first home is one of those very first steps. You know, people buy homes for different reasons. Some people aren't just buying it for the financial aspect, but that's the benefit they get. And I think, again, real estate is such a great wealth building vehicle for people that a lot of people that buy their first home kind of get the bug. And then they say, oh, well, maybe I want to invest, or maybe I want to buy another one, or maybe I want to move up in a few years. But buying a home provides, outside of the quality of life and the enjoyment of home and kind of that pride of ownership that people get from owning a home, which is a big piece of it. A lot of people want that. They've been in an apartment, they lived with mom and dad, they rent from somebody, they kind of want something to make their own. Outside of that, there's major financial benefits. I think you know, the first part of it is that instead of paying rent to your landlord and all that money going to them, you're paying off an asset. You know, if you're buying a home, you're getting a mortgage, and part of that money is going to interest. And I think you know, in a given year, you know, and you can probably speak better to this, John, but that first year they're not paying a lot to interest. It's mostly, I mean, they're not paying a lot to principal. It's mostly interest, right?
Yes, first probably about 7 years, and most of it is going to be interest.
But there is some of it that goes to principal.
You're absolutely, you start building equity immediately, you know, not only by paying down the mortgage, but also with appreciation with the home.
The value is, and I think we're in a market, we've talked about this a lot, you know, our prices are not dropping, they're going up. We're seeing fewer home sales. We've talked a lot about the statistics on the show, so I won't go into that too much, but, you know, prices have gone up, so you're going to get that benefit that your landlord gets when you're renting, or your apartment community gets. You know, you're giving away that benefit when you're renting.
Right. I mean, rent, you're just throwing your money away every month.
Right.
There's no benefit to you.
The other benefit is, so you're getting the appreciation. You're also getting some tax benefits. You know, if you itemize, I'm not a CPA. I stayed at a Holiday Inn once, so I know about all the you know, the deductions. And the point is that you're going to get to write off some of your costs. You know, some of your, you know, the mortgage interest deduction is a big one. So, yes. You know, the interest that you pay becomes a tax deduction. So a lot of people that, you know, it's funny because a lot of people that think about buying a home look way too basically at the difference between buying and renting. An example would be, you know, and I've heard this before, and if you're out there and you're renting and you're paying, you know, $1,200–$1,500 a month, you can probably own a very nice home for the same price that you're paying. However, you know, kind of a good example is, not long ago I had somebody who I know well, I play basketball with, and they came and they were talking to me, hey, look, I'm paying this much in rent, you know, yada, 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 but I don't want to buy because it's like $150 more. I ran the numbers, it would be $150 more a month for me to buy. So I sat down and said, well, wait a second, you got to think about this, $150 a month, could you afford it? You know, eliminate a Starbucks here, eliminate a, you know, a trip out to Soho where you have like 6 beers at a bar, you know, eliminate all that. Could you afford $150 a month? Well, yeah. Well, you're going to get the tax benefit from the mortgage interest deduction. It's probably going to eliminate that difference. And secondly, when that home starts to go up, you're going to get that benefit. So in 5, 6, 7 years, you're going to have something worth money instead of just making your landlord rich. Because that's what you're doing. I mean, you know, and I asked him, so I said, well, you know, do you know anything about your landlord? Oh yeah, he owns about 15 apartments, you know, he owns all this. I was like, well, where does he live? And he said, oh, he lives over in Hyde Park, you know, he's got a really nice $1 million home. I was like, yeah, well, you're making him rich. Congratulations. Yeah, you know, exactly. you know, so, you know, we love working with first-time home buyers. I mean, our company, we've got, you know, 13 buyer agents, and several of them specialize, you know, in working with first-time home buyers and really kind of the core of their business. And I think, again, it's one of those things that we really enjoy because first-time home buyers, you know, they need to be educated. We need to really help guide them through all those processes and telling them kind of how things work, because they've not done it before. Somebody that's seasoned, you know, that's a seasoned investor, somebody that's bought and sold a lot of homes, you know, they don't really need the education. They know what they're doing, you know, for the most part. However, the first-time home buyer needs some help. They really need to understand how all these steps work, and certainly we love doing it. And if you know someone that's thinking about buying a home or that needs to be a first-time home buyer, we would love to help them. You can certainly, pretty easy to find us, theduncanduo.com. You can search for homes. You can send them to our website and you know, recommend us, and we'd love the opportunity. But another thing that first-time home buyers you know, a lot of times don't grasp. So the difference in taxes and how that works, you know, makes up a big difference of that difference in payment, right? Now the first-time home buyer's concern is, what if the home price goes down? Okay. Well, if you're not moving next year, if it goes down in the next year, it doesn't really matter. You got to look at long cycles. However, you know, historically, home prices don't go down. Do we have periods where they go down? Yeah, but they eventually trend and go back up again. So, you know, people are always concerned about the risk, but again, if you don't ever take risk, you don't ever have a reward. You've got to take a little bit of risk in your life to accomplish, you know, certain things. So, but again, the average homeowner's wealth is more than double the non-homeowner. So I think there's a real easy to understand that if you want to have more money, make more money, be worth more money, owning a home is a crucial first step. And I think a lot of people have a complete misconception about what it takes from a mortgage perspective, right? There are people out there that think it takes 20, you know, I got 20, 30, 40, 50 grand or 20% down. No, you don't, right? I mean, you can buy a home.
Right. Well, I mean, there's different programs, but you could do FHA with 3.5% down. Veterans can buy with 0 down. And if you go to a USDA area, that's 0 down. And don't think you have to buy a farm out in the middle of nowhere.
No, USDA is, I mean, you're talking Wesley Chapel, Fishhawk Ranch, Lithia, Land O'Lakes.
A lot of great areas.
You know, so there's some great, and a lot of great new construction opportunities, something you guys specialize in. You guys do a lot of new construction, mortgage origination with FBC Home Loans. And I think that the other thing, you know, so you might have someone that says, you know what, I can afford the monthly payment. I can afford that, you know, $200 more a month or $300 more a month, because I understand a year later when I do my taxes, I'm going to get a lot of that benefit back, and I'm going to get the value gain. I'm going to get, you know, and I think, quite frankly, the other thing I look at is, you know, when you're measuring utility bills and certain things, you know, I think that people that buy a home, especially someone that buys a newer home, you're going to have lower utility costs. You're going to buy a more energy efficient structure. You're going to save some money there too that you're not calculating. But it's also quality of life. I mean, if you have the ability to own your own home instead of renting, you know, are you going to enjoy your weekend a little bit more? Are you going to enjoy kind of doing things that are you going to enjoy your life a little bit more? And I think you know, again, the statistics support this. Homeowners are happier people. They have more money. They retire earlier. You know, they create more wealth. And so I really think about it. If you've not bought a home and you're sitting out there wondering what the cost is, you contact us. You'd be so surprised at how likely we could get you into a home for less than what you're paying in rent, and all of the, not just financial benefits, but all the lifestyle benefits that you get. However, sometimes they can't come up with the down payment money. They say, hey, I don't have, you know, let's say they're thinking about buying a $200,000 house, okay? I don't have $7,000. You know, there's ways to get that too. Mom and dad can help. Relatives can help. Friends can help. You can get gift money, right? It's got to be documented.
Right, yeah, gifts are fine from family member. Also, we have sometimes people that have been in the workforce for a while and have started a 401k at work. You can borrow against that. You're borrowing your own money.
Right.
And we don't even have to charge that as a debt to you.
Yeah, and so there are ways to get the down payment money.
Absolutely.
You know, and same with closing costs. You know, it's a competitive market. You know, in that price point, but you can ask the seller to pay your closing costs.
Exactly.
You know,
and that's
now,
what a good agent, you know, with the Duncan Duo Group is going to go in there and they're going to say, okay, what do we got to work with, and they're going to get that into your offer.
I think, and again, that market is competitive. I mean, we're going to talk in the second half of the show about an article that Drew Harwell at the Times wrote. He interviewed me about, you know, a tale of two housing recoveries. Tampa Bay's mid-priced home sales struggle while high-end sales soar. We're going to talk a little bit about why there's a struggle in that kind of those average price point homes. But there's a lot of competition. There's homes flying off the shelf. So when you're asking for closing costs and you're doing an FHA loan, you may be losing out against the cash guy. Here's the reality though. the idea that there's so much cash out there gobbling up some of these homes is over. The hedge funds are gone. First time home buyers, if you're out there, maybe you dabbled in it a year ago, you looked at buying a year ago, you lost some homes, you decided to rent, you were probably losing to hedge funds. Hedge funds were buying every piece of inventory that first time home buyers went. They're gone. They're gone. They're out of town. They are not buying homes in droves anymore. So you really don't have to compete with the large institutional cash people that can just outspend you, outquick you, outmaneuver you. They're gone. So if you missed out or you sat on the sidelines because you were fearful that the hedge funds were going to just knock you out like they knocked your friend out. I mean, we hear the stories all the time, and we worked with the hedge funds. We saw home buyers lose out. You know, so we know that there are people out there that said, you know what, forget it. It's just too hard to buy. It's that part of it is they're gone. You know, they're not out there buying in droves anymore. They're not. You know, so but the down payment side of it, you can get access to the funding. There's grants out there. You can take classes to get grants to help you with the down payment. You know, I know a lot of the local municipalities do things like that for first-time home buyers. But gifting from mom and dad, or gifting from a family member, or from your own 401k are great opportunities to have that down payment money available, so that you could make, you know, that first home purchase. So, and again, an article this week from Florida Association of Realtors, it looks like it was produced from the Chicago Tribune. Half of millennials ask mom and dad for home help. So, you know, it looks like the majority of them are saying, hey, mom and dad, can you help me out in buying a home? And again, obviously you can pay mom and dad back over time. You can maybe pay them back when you sell the home someday. We're not talking hundreds of thousands of dollars here. I mean, like we said, 3.5%. The average first-time home buyer is probably looking around a $200,000 price point. So 3.5% of that first average, you know, you're looking at $7,000. You know, so and at the same time, you could also save that money on your own.
You can. You know, another thing too is if you have a family member, you know, maybe they're not quite generous enough to just say, well, here's the money, but you know, maybe you give them a little percent ownership in the property, like
Sure.
as a separate,
Yeah.
you know.
There's all kinds of opportunities and things like that you can do, and I think if you really want it, you'll find a way, and I really think there's a lot of people out there that are renting, that are just making their landlord rich, right? They're you know, and hey, look, I own a lot of rental property, so I appreciate that segment of the market, but there's a lot of people out there that could buy, that should buy. Now, not everybody should buy a home. You know, I don't believe that. I don't believe the government needs to get everybody to be a homeowner, but there are certainly great people out there that need to buy a home.